times when each of the three phases played better than the other, and a couple times this year maybe considerably better than the other. Special teams has been really good for us throughout the year, and I thought today our special teams was excellent. Our coverage units were excellent. Our punter was excellent. We missed one field goal, but our return game was good. And so if you're sound in special teams and you don't turn the ball over, you get a chance each week. I was really pleased with our coaching staff. West Virginia's has fared very well in up to this point in not letting teams score points. And so we were able to score quite a few points. Obviously, our defense did a nice job with turnovers. I was a little frustrated early in the game that we drove the ball down the field twice and only got field goals, but I guess it all worked itself out in the end. And then I thought Glenn and the defense made some really good adjustments on the inside passing game that West Virginia hit us on for a little while and forced some turnovers. It was interesting. There was times that we had really good pressure on the quarterback, and then there was times that it wasn't as much as we needed. But in the end, when you're +4 in the turnover category, I think we were +4. 3 in the turnover category. You're really good on special teams and able to manufacture enough offense to score points. So it's a good win for all of us, and want the guys, everybody involved, to enjoy this the rest of the day and then get back to work tomorrow.
How'd that Gatorade bath feel after the
Cold, yeah. Each year, I get a little older, it feels a little worse, but in the end, it feels really good, right? I mean, it's usually a good sign. So, bowl games, I had learned to prepare myself for it a little bit. It didn't cross my mind today, but was happy that we were able to use it.
Mike, the prevailing storyline going into this game was about West Virginia's defense. How much did that motivate you guys defensively, do you think? Did they come in with like a chip on their shoulder, best defensive performance of the year maybe?
I think so. We don't talk a lot about the topic you mentioned in detail, but I kind of watched from a distance, and I agree with what you said. I think it instigated both sides of the ball. We've played them the last 3 times, and we've had one good game plan offensively. We just weren't good enough to execute it. The other 2 times, we won games, but our game plan wasn't that good. We forced turnovers, and we were better in special teams. And I think that our offensive staff and our players took it personal, and our defense did exactly what you said. That's not something I ever speak to directly, but I do see it from afar.
Mike, it's one thing to get turnovers, but you got 3 turnovers that put you in great scoring possession, either inside the 10 or 15, whatever it was. What does it do when you not just get a turnover, but basically they hand you a touchdown?
What they've done, Barry, is they practice. We talk about it in August. We practice a fumble recovery and interception in blocking in front of the returner, not away from the play, because that's an automatic 15-yard penalty, even if it's a legal block, and not blocking below the waist. And the time that we've put into it and the players' ability to focus and absorb that information has paid great dividends for us, and today was a great example. You guys have watched a lot of football at this level. Most interceptions or fumble recoveries where a player runs down one sideline for 40 yards, cuts all the way back across the field, and goes down the other sideline for another 30, you're going to get a flag. And I told them that the work that they put in and the focus and understanding of what we can and can't do made a huge difference today. We started on the 9-yard line instead of what, in most cases, you get an illegal block in the back and you start back on your own 30. So it's been really important that our coaches coach it and our players understand it and they're able to execute.
Did it make it any more special or add any emotion to it that this win came on the anniversary of the tragedy at the homecoming parade last year?
I mentioned that to the team, and there was talk about it during the week. Really don't know how to address it, but out of respect, we want to play the game, play every game as hard as we can, and for all of us, the homecoming here is special because it's the largest homecoming in the country. Like DeJuan Woods, I saw DeJuan Woods in the locker room. You know, DeJuan lives in L.A. now, and he came all the way back to be here for homecoming. That means a lot to us, and it should mean a lot to our coaching staff. It means the players want to come back. So you want to play the best you can. It's never a guarantee. And it's nice to be able to beat a team that's ranked 10th in the country on the same day for everybody involved.
Mike, what would a win like this do for your program going forward?
Fortunately, we've had a number of big wins here in the last 6 or 8 years. And I told the players just now that, and I joked with DeJuan that they've kind of created a monster here, and the only way to feed it is to win big games like we did today. And that's just the way it's going to be from this point on. And they were able to satisfy that part of it today. And what it means is they've made a decision to come together as a group. It's their team. It's their team chemistry. It's their willingness to put in the time and effort. Coaches can only do so much. At some point, they have to make those decisions, and that's what they did today. And during the week, their preparation was tremendous.
You said you really liked your game plan today offensively. What did you like about it?
I felt like the last few years that in a short period of time, which is a Tuesday, Wednesday practice when we've played them, we've tried to reinvent the wheel based on the 3-3-5. And then when you get in the game, you're not even good at anything. And we didn't do that today. We ran the same plays that we've always run. We just tried to adjust them a little bit based on what they do. And I thought that was a smart move. I'd been frustrated a few years in playing them because for us, you know, game day is a coach's opportunity to see if what we thought was the best chance, gave us the best chance, worked or not. And you know, you hear me talk about it all the time. You know, one of the things as coach, it drives you crazy is you put all your stuff in and you practice it and it doesn't work on Saturday, and you're like, that was no fun. We had good stuff today. We stayed within our box of what we do, and it worked.
Mike, your emotions seem to be a little bit more exuberant after the game. Is it a combination of the homecoming, the 100 wins, beating a top 10 team? Could you describe your emotions as, you know, given the students?
I wanted to pay a tribute and show respect for the students, the paddle people. You know, college football is all about the team spirit and wanting to be at the game, and I wanted to make sure they knew that we appreciated them and I appreciated them. I'm excited for this win for our team, and I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be about them, but I also wanted them to know how much I appreciated them, and I thought this was the time to do it. That's not really a side of me, but they need to know how much I appreciate them, all the fans and the students that are there. And then I wanted to move on and make this about the team's win and not about 100 victories.
But what about the 100 victories? I mean, what does it mean to you? And
It's special for all of us. And for me to not say that 100 wins is not special to me would not be fair, in that means that we're doing well here and we're having success. But the players know that at the end of the day, we're responsible for putting out a product that the fans, the people in the country want to see. They're exciting. They play the game. They play the game the right way. They graduate in 4 years, and they can go out in society with some character, some substance to them, and be productive. That's really what our goal is. They know that. So that by far outweighs an individual 100-win accomplishment, and that is the truth.
It was a different kind of day for Mason. You know, not a ton downfield. He had 3 touchdown passes of 7 yards or less. How far have you seen him come in short yardage passing situations?
You know, if you were to go back and watch the game, you'll see that they're way back. Okay, and that's what they do at times. They want to defend our ability to throw the ball down the field, so they stayed back. So then your passing game becomes from 15 to 5 in that intermediate area. And his maturity and growth has allowed him to be successful there. There was 3 balls we threw where the route, the receiver and the quarterback weren't on the same page. And as bad as it looks, the style of defense they play and the way they play it with route adjustments, it can happen. And it frustrates all of us. But they're good at what they do, and sometimes if you're trying to read routes, you can get in a situation where you get a little confused. And that's what happened on 3 of those routes today. People say, how can that happen? Well, when there's 5 guys that are 280 pounds that are coming after you, sometimes that can happen. But what you said is right. He was good today. He was a good leader. He kept the ball a few times. We needed him to keep the ball a few times. He did it. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, he has to be able to take a play that wasn't as productive, get rid of it, forget about it, and move to the next play. And I thought he did a really nice job of that.
Mike, and he did that now, and now he has 4 straight games without an interception. To not throw a pick today when he's throwing so many underneath balls with so many defenders in space, is that pretty significant?
For him, it is, because he's early in his career that was an issue. And as I had mentioned, I think his maturity is allowing him to understand. He's being more patient. And if you notice, one thing he's doing is if he's unsure or doesn't feel comfortable, he's pulling the ball down and running it now. He's getting 2 yards, 4 yards, maybe 6, whatever. And in the end, with the athletic defensive lines that play this game, that's what you have to do to be successful, in my opinion.
Talking about the 100 wins, I saw your son was out there with you. Was it cool to share that moment with him?
Sure. Well, with the boys, Gavin is, he's home from college, and I don't get to see him as much. And so it's important to me that he's there and that he can share that time with us. My other ones are there too, but they're out on the field playing touch football right now. They could give a flip. They're probably trying to be first captain, second captain, which is good for them. That's where they need to be. So, but that's what makes today special for me, is to be able to spend time with those guys and for them to enjoy that.
You weren't able to run it well today. Was that did you pretty much know that going in, that they weren't going to let you run it?
I thought we'd run it better. And we ran it in the first quarter good. I don't know what the first quarter stats were. I don't know if you guys have it in front of you, but I think our first quarter average per carry in the run game was pretty good. And then they made some adjustments. We got off track a little bit. We missed a couple blocks, and we were not as effective as what I thought we would be. Now, my personal feeling going into the game was we'd have ran the ball better than that. So we missed on that. We're going to have to keep working in the off season and come up with things that we think give us the best chance and make sure we can get it executed for when we play those guys again, or somebody else that's in a 3-3-5. Another area that was good for us is 3 penalties for 30 yards. And one of those penalties was Stearns getting jawing with the other guy, which is not smart, and he knows that drives me crazy. So basically you had 2 penalties for 15 yards, so they played smart football.
Sort of way is not being able to run the football as well, yet you still win convincingly against a really good team. Can that be encouraging in some
Sure.
sort of way?
Turnovers. In the end, it's going to come down to turnovers. When you turn the ball over, 3 times, today's game was played like a real football game. So many times we're all in this league, including Oklahoma State, we're involved in basketball or football and grass track meets, and it was played like a real football game. So that means you're going to get about 12 possessions, and if you're turn it over 3 times, that means you get 9 and the other team gets 15. So your percentages go way up, that you have a chance to win the game.
Mike, you talked about Dana wants to run the football. Talk about their run game and how is their run game effective?
Well, they were able to run the ball because we played back a little more. The area that we have not been good this year on defense is we were giving up too many plays of over 20 yards or more. We were giving up big plays with in the throwing game, double moves, so on and so forth. And our defensive staff knew that. So, anytime you have an issue, the only chance you have to solve it is to come up with a solution, put a plan in place, coach it, and then make it happen on Saturday. Hope it happens on Saturday. And so we were not quite as aggressive on the perimeter. If you saw a lot of balls caught underneath, we rally up and tackled, and we tackled pretty well. And we got beat one time, but other than that, that was it on the over-the-top throw. So you give up a few more rushing yards, and we have to find that happy medium as a defense.
How about the player that Vincent Taylor's becoming? He had a strip sack, causes the intentional grounding with pressure. What's he mean?
He's a good football player, and 4 years ago we made a decision to add 3 scholarships to defense and take 3 away from offense, because we felt like we could scheme offense, but we needed depth on defense because of this league, maybe 80 to 100 plays a game. And I think that's working for us because Joe Bob and Glenn rotate those D linemen in all the time. So I think they're a little more fresh than maybe some of the guys that we're playing against. And you're seeing some of those results, in my opinion.
Pass protection, what you wanted today?
For us, it was
Yeah.
pretty good. I thought we failed one time, and then another time the coverage was pretty good, and we ended up in kind of a coverage, half sack, half 2-yard run. But overall, I thought our protection was much better than it was last week. I was not happy with our protection last week.
Mike, you're going into November with a couple of losses, but now in the thick of this Big 12
One
race.
loss, right?
Well,
I mean, can anybody get that fixed?
depending on how you slice it.
Can somebody get it fixed?
But that's
With
sort of
all the attorneys in the country now that are eager, can somebody not get that fixed?
makes some fun.
Okay.
But that's
You're a young guy, you have a lot of energy. That'd be a good job for you.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the point, though. You're heading into November, and all the goals are intact, right? Big 12 title, sort of what you guys aimed for at the beginning of the season. How confident are you now that you've played, 7, 8 games to get where you want to be there in December?
I just told the team that they're for me as a coach, when I sit in the locker room, get ready to go play a game, I get excited to see if our game plans worked. But then I'm excited because our players have committed to each other. And I know you guys get tired of me hearing me say that. But as a coach, if you've got 130 guys that commit to each other, no matter who you are, what color you are, where you come from, or how you got here, that's fun for me to watch. And it's very satisfying for me to watch them do that. And I told them I wouldn't trade them for anybody. I like who they are. I like their attitude. They're fun to coach. I mean, they're not perfect. They're 130 males, so that means there's always going to be an issue or two. But they're fun to be around, and as a coach, you can't ask for anything other than the effort that they're giving us.
Thanks, guys.
Good. All right.
Got coordinators in the building.